Yo, this is Dane Thomas. Stay tuned for the Love is a Virus podcast.
We're doing it.
Doing it.
It says live.
Does it?
It does.
Processing on my page, but wouldn't mind some video, help me know what's going on here. Looking like an amateur. There's Dave. Let me see this guy.
Check. Yeah, we're good, man. We're 7 seconds in.
Okay. What the fuck? Yo, world. How you doing? I just want to see you, my friend. That's all. I've got just a picture of Facebook, which is...
Oh, you can't see me?
That's a shit. But I know you're in here somewhere.
Do you want me to stop my video and I'll stop it and restart it?
No. I don't even have the Zoom screen on my screen.
Oh, okay.
Really the issue here. Zoom. Come on, man. Susie, it'd be funny if I publicly have to ask for help. You're watching. Well, ironically, this is my favorite part. There we are. I can see us on my phone. That'll do the job just fine.
Yeah.
So, ironically, we're about to share some red hot tips on some of what I want to get into with you, bro, is, taking your business online.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh, it's so easy, And then I'm in my room setting up the bits and pieces and nothing's fucking working. So the irony that is not lost on me. It's like, they say plumbers have the leakiest pipes, that kind of thing. Anyway, I've moved through my rage. It's a natural stage with me dealing with technology. How are you doing, Mr. Dave Thompson?
Also moving through my own rage, and in this moment, very good. Glad to be here, and really, actually quite excited to have the opportunity to speak on this, because this has been a big journey for me and for my business for the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am excited to be able to speak about this.
Yeah, wicked. And for those watching, we're doing this in the Going Viral group. This is probably going to end up on a bunch of platforms. So if you're in the future, listener, you won't know you're in the future. You'll be in the now for you. But if you're in our future, hi. And if you're watching this live in Going Viral, hi. I just want to throw a bit of context. So me and Dave have been mates for, what is it now? Like 5 or 6 or 7 years, something like that?
Yeah. At least, I think we came across each other at least, I think it was 6 years ago. Yeah,
sounds about right. We had a shared background in the coaching industry, eventually crossed paths. There you are. That's what I've been looking for this whole time. I can see you in real time. Yeah, we eventually crossed paths through the coaching industry and became kind of acquaintance/friends. And then eventually I did one of Dave's book writing retreats. I think that was the tipping point of getting to really know you. And then eventually ended up living together for quite a while in Byron. So went from like acquaintances to kind of buddies to doing a bit of business together to really getting to be mates and know each other really well. And a lot of the backdrop of that friendship, there's kind of consciousness and normal, very human stuff. And but constantly, what I feel is one of the threads of our friendship is just a kind of progressive approach to business and, personal development business, but also internet business. You had been doing podcasting way back when it was kind of fresh in Australia, when it wasn't happening much. I'd been very social media heavy. So there was, we'd often be cooking up paleo type feasts and then chatting for hours about where is business going? Where is the online, where's the consciousness space going? Where's the personal development space going? What's happening online? All that sort of stuff. So, this thing I'm doing right now, this is the first one, this project Going Viral. So people don't probably really know what I'm up to because it's just starting. I'm just been quietly doing it, but it's really bringing together a lot of the ideas that we have both talked about and going into my way of like, okay, well, how do I leverage this difficult time and use it as a kick up the ass to take a bunch of things online that I've done less online than I could have, even though I've been online. But to give them more accurate context, Dave created the Inspirational Book Writers Retreat, which I've done like 4 or 5 of them, which was very much an in-person experience. It was, you go to the island, you write the book, and then it was last year you took that online. You were already planning it a while ago, but last year you actually did that for real and ran it online, yeah?
Yeah, it had been in the consciousness of my thoughts since 2016, and I tried to actually launch an online version a couple of times, and actually it just was a bit too early, wasn't the right time, it didn't really work. But then December of 2019 was when we really pulled the trigger on it, and it kind of rolled out through December and January, and now we're rolling with it through 2020.
So, I'm happy for this chat for us to go anywhere, but I just wanted to throw out that context of, we've been friends for a while. I did a bunch of book writing retreats with you. We've had a business thread that we've shared for quite a few years where we talk a lot about what's the future, progressively how a business is going to look. And then to see you take something that was very much a live experience and successfully take that online, that's why I wanted to talk to you first, because I think I'm going to talk to all kinds of interesting people with all kinds of skills and expertise. But I just felt like, fuck, you're someone who has done the thing that a lot of people are now going to be wanting to do. And particularly for many of them that are doing maybe like embodiment or things that they might have never considered taking that thing online because it's so experiential. So I thought you're such a great example of someone who did that, because, I did those book writers retreats back in 2015 and I wouldn't have gone back then, oh, you could do this online. I would have been like, but it's all about the island and eating the fish and doing the thing, and where I'm at with the Spiral Institute is because of this whole thing, we're going online and we're very well positioned. We're probably like a year behind you maybe, in terms of actually taking our main stuff online. But I've been doing things online for quite a while. I've been around other people doing it. So it's less of a like, oh my God, it's like, well, I knew this was where things were heading. I'm just bringing the timeline forwards a little bit. So I figure that us meeting from that place could be really helpful to anyone who's right now is like, what the fuck? Like, I run workshops, I'm screwed, I don't know. That's what I would love to talk about. I'm also open to anywhere you want to go. It's not so prescriptive or whatever,
Awesome. I think that's a great context. And it sets it up really well. Yeah, cool. So maybe I'll just speak a little bit about my journey in taking it online. So yeah, we ran it's a week-long retreat, and we go to islands and we lock people in a beautiful house, and we feed them great food. And there's a lot of touch points. There's like chocolates on the pillow, there's pens on the bed. There's like lots of physical in-person touch points.
Iron Bay coconut chili sauce for Dave Thomas.
But special order, extra chili sauce for, down to that level of detail. Like when we ask them on the forms, what treats do you like? And people go, oh, I like, so there was a lot of in-person elements to what we offered. And that had actually been my hesitation in taking it online, because I didn't know how we would be able to reproduce the level of experience and touch points that we want to create. But we found a way, and I have to admit that you said like everyone's kind of jumping on the online bandwagon now. Well, this occupied my entire year last year figuring this out, like legit from April of last year through to like the 3rd of December, it occupied my mind space the entire time trying to figure it out.
Are you suggesting they won't be able to pull it off in a week? Is that what I'm hearing?
No. The shift of the business to online.
Right. No, I'm saying, are you suggesting that someone who's just thought of it today might not be able to pull it off in 7 days?
Not at all. Because I just want to say that because what I think it highlights is that I myself, I had all this mental fuckery going on that looped. And actually, when I just decided to fucking do it, I was able to roll out the online in a day and a half.
Wow, that's really cool. That's a really cool place to start.
Right. So after all these months of like it looping in my head, and honestly, the thing was, for me, it was about letting go. I had to let go of the old in order to embrace the new. And I just got to a point where I was down at the beach, I was driving home, and someone that I knew from 6 years ago that I'd done a workshop with, they called me and they were like, Dave, this is what I want to do with my book. And in that moment, it just downloaded, and I was like, now's the time. We launch right now.
Amazing.
And it's very much a version 1. And I think that's the first thing, is to be totally okay with launching a minimum viable product with, you know, the key thing out of everything I've just said is pull the trigger, do it, and you will learn so much.
Yeah. And, you know, that's another piece. I think this some of the stuff we've shared is, one, coming through the personal development world, particularly with like NLP and mindset and kind of that kind of mentality, and then being both influenced by way back by things like the 4-hour work week and other very entrepreneurial thinking. And we've got some good people on this call, by the way.
Yeah.
Hayden, Laurie Handlers, Anastasia, Carla Palomino, and then Emma Purcell is saying, do a dirty version, I say. So it's, you know, fully. And that's something that, you know, for me, I clocked early on, you know, I clocked in probably 2011 that like, entrepreneurship is about creating the thing, launching the thing, and then improving it as you go, not perfecting a model in your head and then trying to agonizingly get it perfect, which I think that holds people back in the regular entrepreneurial world. But those same people coming across to the online entrepreneurial world, it's going to be even exaggerated more, you know, where it's like, well, I only will do it when it can be perfect. And it's like, you know, we were just about to run our 12th and 13th spiral practitioner trainings. I reckon they're getting very high quality now. And how ironic, we'll now shift our format to online. But, you know, 12 reps is what it took to get that really good, like really, really good, where all the details and the team and the logistics and all this stuff just fucking happens. But in the first 3 or 4, I was just a guy who would turn up, and if you want to be in my room, you show up in my room. You know, like we've got such good like customer care and systems in the background nowadays that I would laugh, you know, when everyone's doing like, this person's gluten-free and this person's here and we've helped this person get a ride from the airport. I'm like, I used to just be like, this is the venue, see you on the day. By the way, I'm pretty sure there's a chicken shop across the road. Come learn some magic, you know, like, and it was just kind of fast and dirty, you know?
Yep. Love it.
And I think having got that mentality gives us, I'll go bigger. What I'm seeing with this whole virus thing, which I'm seeing regarding as a macro event, of, you know, a macro disruption event or almost a correction, as they would call it in sort of stock market terms, is that when something like that happens, it reveals to you where your systems are not very good, or they're not as adaptable as they could be.
Mm-hmm.
And so this quality that I'm kind of invoking, you know, people are going to get the mentor, but what energetically I think we share is a level of adaptability and doing the thing and improving it as we go. We've both done that with our main offerings. And I think that's a quality that is really worth developing, you know?
Absolutely agree. And I have to say, I you know, the time that we lived together in Lennox, I really admired the way that you had an idea and then just shipped it. You know, Seth Godin would call it shipping your ideas.
Yeah.
Oh, let's run this. Okay. And boom, out it goes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you get the feedback really, really quickly.
Yeah. Because I think, you know, and even entrepreneurship, like I just kind of think of business as life. I don't really think of them as like, it's this category over here of business. It's like, to me, business is just doing things, you know, it's like just making things happen in the world. And I think like it's like sex. It's like you can read a book about it, but that's not really probably going to make you very good at it. Whereas having the experience and having literally the direct feedback, you know, in case of the lover, it's a living organism, it's another being. And in the case of your business, it's typically many beings. You know, there's data inputs coming from this person liked it, this one didn't. Oh, no one's buying this. I don't know why we did that. Everyone seemed to really want it. Now they're all coming. I think for me, it's just dealing with the mechanism of life. And the only real way to do that is to engage with it and see what it teaches. It's the same as like learning jiu-jitsu or something. You don't like, I studied in theory for 8 years and then I went and wrestled someone. It's, well, you're going to suck.
Yeah.
Versus being in the game of it and getting those direct feedbacks. And I think that took a while for me to figure out because I was watching other coaches or musicians, other categories that I was in. I was watching people be more successful than me. And in my head going, I could do a fucking better job than this guy. And at some point, I think it was probably listening to someone like Eben Pagan or something, getting the idea that radical execution and using that to get more information was how you get good. And it's like, get out there and fuck something up 100 times. And I bet you'll be pretty good after that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'll just speak to how our example of that. So I'm driving home after speaking to this person and I get the download. This is what it's called. This is the offer. This is the price. This is the payment plan. This is what they get. They get this class. They get 2 classes in the pre-work. Then we do a week and the week runs from this date to this date. And it just all downloaded and I sketched it out. I've still got the bit of paper that I sketched the thing out on. And then you know what I actually did? I actually sat on it for about 5 or 6 days and I talked to other people and I was like, oh, do you think we should run it on that date? What if we made it longer? What if we did? And after 5 or 6 days of speaking to other people, I just came back to that first impulse and I was like, exactly what I sketched on that bit of paper is what we are offering.
Yeah.
And then I didn't bother about fancy tech. I literally just banged it onto the website. I wrote out the copy in my notes section on my computer, put that into the WordPress page. The formatting looked appalling, Dane. It was the formatting was shocking. Like the heading was jammed on the copy and then there was this huge gap until the PayPal thing. And even though I tried to edit, it didn't work. You know, if you wanted to pay by payment plan, you could only get that if you scrolled right to the bottom. Like,
yeah. But
it worked. And honestly, man, it was just on like by a long shot, our most profitable event by nearly 3x.
And what have been the results like? What have people's experience been like?
Raving, like loving it. Like they did not expect that level of support, that level of experience. Because what we did, and this is kind of the business strategy part, is we made the initial offer, like normally to come to book retreat, it's like somewhere between 10 and 15 grand, right? You got to be committed and you got to know you want to do it. We made the entry price super low ticket, $500. You could get in for as little as one payment of 180.
Wow.
So we made the front of the funnel super accessible. Like even if you just had a off the whim thought that you would write a book, you can say yes to that. Now, obviously, once people have, so I guess the learning there is make it, and this is fundamental business, just make it so easy for people to say yes. You know, make it so easy. And like in terms of like systems and stuff, we didn't know how many people we were going to get at the event. Like we previously never run an event for more than 5 people because we're doing these in-person, intimate retreat experiences. And then we ended up getting 30. So we had to make kind of make up systems on the fly and kind of like, all right, how are we going to organize these people? And we ended up organizing them into teams. And then we would have, our crew be able to check on each team. And then so the process kind of revealed itself once we, like you said, we're engaging with life, and life gave us the clues about how it best wanted to be arranged and structured.
Great. Love that. Yeah, I love that. Something that's been coming up for me is, I saw this thing you know, we're lucky in Australia that this whole viral thing started to happen in the rest of the world first. You know, we've got that buffer of distance, and I guess, you know, I'm involved with a lot of people in the live event space, particularly tantra and embodiment type of sort of stuff. You know, people who are running events all over the world, all different nationalities, all different price points. But the common thing is 90% of them are it's very visceral, very physical, very, you know, and it's very, it's actually quite expense heavy. You know, you find a venue, you pay the venue, you get an organizer, the organizer's getting a slice, you got to promote it, you pay for promotion, you know, and you got to get a caterer, and the thing was happening just from a distance. And I was like, you know, I want to really change the world. Like, I want to really reach potentially millions of people, you know, and I often think more in tens of thousands, but the bigger reach is in the millions and even beyond. But I know for a fact, you know, in the next few years, I want it to be in the tens of thousands and the hundreds of thousands. That's tangible. But the millions is really where I want to reach. And I was sitting there kind of in the back of my head, looking at the fragility of that model. Because this was before everything was getting canceled, borders weren't shut down. So it was kind of just this creeping wave of like, yeah, but what if, you know? And I watched a lot of people very stubbornly cling to like, nah, we'll be going ahead. Don't worry. Don't let fear get in the way, you know? And I was like, I don't think it's fear for me. I'm just weighing the maths of like, okay, so I'm saying I want to take this work all over the world. I'm watching these other models, particularly more embodiment based, so it's more natural that of course they're wanting to stay in the room because it's touch, you know. And I'm like, so you're telling me that you want to take this all over the world based on the premise of flying teachers all over the world, dealing with customs and borders and government issues, finding new and better venues in every fucking territory, dealing with those prices. You know, we did our first America last year and it was a big event, but I got fucking stopped at the border and harassed. And, you know, renting a not that great venue in LA was like double what it would cost in Byron for a beautiful venue for a smaller room. And we delivered our thing, and I'm really happy with the quality of people that came on board and what we delivered. But like, you know, it made me feel like, I don't know if you've watched Vikings much, you know.
I mostly got my downloads through you.
Right, so season 1 of Vikings, right? You know, they're Danish or whatever. I don't even fucking know. I think they're Danes. So all those, and they basically, Ragnar Lothbrok has figured out, if you sail across here, you get to this mythical place called England, where everyone's fucking rich apparently because they've got gold or whatever. And you know, they go over there and they ransack and they do whatever, and they come back and they get all their fucking shit taken off them by the chieftain who forbid them to go west or whatever, or east, whatever. There was a full rebellion, and so they come back with all this stuff. They win against the odds, and then the kind of chief of the village takes all the gold off them, and it's like, this is, and I'm taking your fucking ships too, because this is like what you get for breaking the rules, you know. And I was like, we're still operating on that model. Gonna sail over there. I'm gonna bet everything on on this mission, you know. And it's like, I was just sitting there in a restaurant with Mia, just thinking about it. And the more I thought about it, the more angry I was getting at myself. For like, I'm like, this shit could be all over the world. I mean, it is getting all over the world, but it could really be. It could be, you could be in Argentina or Africa learning this stuff right fucking now. If I dropped this industrial age thinking of like, I want to give you something, well, I've got to get around your house and I've got to get in my car and I got to get the stuff, and it's just like, fucking really, it's like we haven't as a species, we have not embraced the information age yet fully. We're still like half in the industrial age. I've got to get a job, if you know, like, I'm going to take this object and move it over here, and it's like, and I think I'm really progressive, and I realize like, you're still thinking like business in the fucking 50s.
Yeah.
Sure, we use online, we promote on fucking Facebook, but we're basically using it like a newspaper or a radio station. There's nothing really new in the way we're doing it. And once I got through this, like, what's this trigger? I'm judging them for being inefficient, but I'm really looking back at me and going like, you're not going to get to your goal through this method. what you're gonna be flying all these teachers all over the fucking world. It's so expensive.
Man.
Conscious business, and we're gonna use more fucking jet fuel than anyone else to save the world while we're fucking tearing up the atmosphere, you know? And I was just like, this is starting to, so this before it had fully hit, I was just getting this suspicion. And then something shifted, and it was just like, your work is about transmitting consciousness. You can transmit consciousness over the fucking internet. And I could feel that resistance of like, but what about? And then there's this piece of like, which is I think I'm actually good at, is when I see the death of a model, I just go. I don't wait for 3 months to think about it. I'm just like, okay, you know, if I'm feeling conservative and cautious, I might sleep on it for a night. Maybe.
I can definitely vouch for that. I've seen you do that multiple times.
You're getting an email from me at 2 a.m. I've got this new idea, Dave. Can we make it happen like now? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I just got this sense of like, we're going to thrive. We're going to have a couple of, you know, we're going to wobble here and there. We're going to move. We're going to reorient. It's not nothing. We've had to cancel big things and a lot of expenses and stuff like that. But my commitment is that we will adapt, evolve, and thrive. I'd like to do it within this quarter. I'd like to emerge in the quarter number 3 better off than the company came into this year. I think that's realistic for us. And I think if I'm witnessing myself, why can I do this? And I'm watching some other business that isn't that different, really like resist. And it's like, oh, you're not ruthless enough. And I don't mean ruthless on people. I mean ruthless on ideas, where there's this sense of we've done it this way. This is how it is. And it's like, yeah, but reality has just shown you that doesn't fucking work anymore. It worked until yesterday. And I guess where I'm leading with this is like, is there anything, what are the decisions you had to make? It's like, well, we put chocolate on their pillow. We can't do that. So I'm not going to do it. It's like, well, I'm guessing you had to make some ruthless decisions about what is the model, what is the offering, to then go, we're going to do it differently. I'd love to hear about that. So.
I think if I'd, you know, I probably would have been well served to, you know, have a conversation with you about this, you know, at some point from April to December last year, where I was holding on to the old, because I think 2 minutes conversation with you and I would have let it go. So I think the first thing is, and I can understand why I held on to it, because it was the source of income, and it had been for five years, and it was big chunk income. So I didn't know how else. But I think you've like to start with, it's just about, and sometimes you don't know this if you're starting out, but we've done 20 retreats and we've been doing it for 6 years. So we knew what the most critical pillars of the event were. Like the opening ceremony is a big pillar. It sets the scene. It's where we get agreements from people about how the week's going to go. The closing is important. And then the check-ins, like the signposts throughout the event, they are what support the thing. So I think the first one is about getting clear on what the pillars of your event are.
That's killer. If you're listening to this,
What are the pillars? Because they are the fundamentals, and you need the fundamental. Like in my head, I just knew that we needed to hold a container. Because what are all the people on this call? You guys are probably holding containers of space for people. That does not change if you're online or in person. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing, like we have a whole stack of traditions at Book Retreat, you know, like getting people to opt in and ways that we celebrate people and things like that. Ways that we, like, so one example of how we flip things, Dane, was you might remember every morning the breakfast song comes on. It's like the Lion King, the Call of the Wild, and then everyone just has a bit of fun before breakfast. What we did is we're like, all right, how do we bring in fun? Every participant for every check-in had to bring a different hat.
Right.
And it was hilarious. You know, some people are in beanies, baseball caps, like tiaras. Like, so the first thing is the pillars. Set up the pillars, set up the checkpoints of your event. And the second is how do I flip what I did in person virtually? And not how do I get chocolates on their pillow? Because like, you know, that would be nice to have some delivery driver come into your house and put chocolates on your pillow. But how do I add that feeling? How do I add the feeling of like, what's the feeling of having chocolates on your pillow? Oh, this is a high touch thing. They care about me. There's a sweetness here. There's a, like, you know, what's the effect of the breakfast song? It's like it's bringing fun in. So, okay, how can we bring fun in? So the second thing would be focus on the emotions that you want people to feel during your event, and then create a way for people to feel that in your online experience.
That's super killer. Like I'm just imagining because I kind of know this, but hearing it from you is good. For me is even giving really some really clear distinctions, and we both talk and think about this kind of stuff a lot. Mm-hmm. So for anyone who isn't on this, you know, like the putting the hats on might sound kind of simplistic, you know, if you don't identify this is creating culture, this is creating shared reality, this is a way of physicalizing something that is looking only digital until you start going, oh, I'm in, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think, for me, there's a lot of what I think has been helpful for me in business, but also in like ritual and magical space and all that kind of stuff is like, I kind of think systemically a lot. Mm-hmm. And, you know, even with emotional work and all that, it's like, well, the surface is about, we write a book retreat and it's been about being in paradise or whatever. But the essence is what's really happening. Well, you get people really fast and you create a strong container for them of trust and possibility and safety and support, so they believe in themselves enough to do the thing quickly.
Exactly. And that's, you know, that's the awareness that I've had in the last couple of years of running the book retreat, is that it's not actually about writing the book. That's just the end outcome. That's great for business. Yeah. But when you understand what your service is creating in terms of transformation, then you set that as the main intention. Like for me, like they're writing books, right? So that's activating voice, activating identity, taking action, because a book's not going to write by itself. Also being connected to the message, connected to yourself, connected to your heart, with the vision for your future. Like it's all the pieces that need to be activated. Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking of Spiral Institute, you know, like the spiral, for a long time, I thought of it as a healing modality, which I don't really think of it like that anymore. Mm-hmm. And what I realized the practitioner training is actually like a leadership transmission.
Yeah.
You know, people move from kind of like healer or artist or whatever their kind of identity is into leader.
Yeah.
And which may not be about using those tools in an obvious way of like, oh, now I take everyone through the spiral. It's actually, they've embedded that technology in their body and they've aligned to purpose and to proactivity more. And, you know, we watch people leave and just make a fuckload more money, even if they're not selling the thing to make the money. They just get this congruence of like, oh, I can do what I want to do. Mm. So what I realized is that, oh, we're selling permission, we're selling leadership.
That's it. And I think, so I think that would be the third one, is have an awareness of what you're actually giving them.
Yeah. So, you know, for me, when I wrote the book, that first book was kind of on brand, but it was kind of a practice as well in a way, even though that book has now become more relevant over time later, because it's called The Conscious Hustle. I've progressed in my conscious business journey since then. So that book is actually almost becoming more valuable over time, because when I wrote it, it was my theory that I hadn't fully even lived up to totally. Some of it I was nailing. And I was writing the chapter about systems and structure being equating to love. And I was like really having a difficult journey, because I'm like, you don't fucking live this. This shit is all over the place. Like, oh, this is bitter medicine, because I know I have the consciousness to see this, but I haven't yet implemented this in my life and my businesses. Whereas now, that level 4 systems, structure, love, order is very mature compared to back then, you know? So I've become the thing I was writing about in the book. But what I think I really was getting was authority.
Yep.
You know, it was like, I'm backing myself to move from someone who sells cool stuff and has invented some cool things to like actually more of a voice and a social commentator and like, this is my take on how this worked, and getting one book down and then the second one becoming the one that was much more what my people needed, the people who were learning those tools. This is the comprehensive how you do the thing. Getting those two was like, I am actually a leader and the author in authority started to land like, I'm an authority on certain subjects. And I think that's what I was really buying, and some helped me make more money or whatever, but it was actually more about, this is a commitment to stepping into your expert and then also into stepping into my creative. It was a bridge from like running workshops to writing a book to where I'm kind of going now, which is making video and music. I could substantiate to myself. It's almost like my artist could sell it to my business guy and go, hey, I really want to develop these parts, but don't worry, it'll make us better at business,
I love that about books. It's like the artist and the business person. It's like the perfect vehicle for that.
The business guy will sign up on that,
That's it. That's it.
Like, I've heard that adds credibility. Okay, we can write a check for that.
Yeah, totally. And I love how you've just shared that, because that's given me another set of language about what we are actually selling. And like, so in the container, knowing that that's what people are coming for. They're not coming for the book. They're coming for the authority, the expertise, the leadership, that claiming. We can hold them and then like poke them and be like, we can make the changes in the field so that, because here's the thing, at the end of the week, it's not actually about getting the physical book, although everyone, they do finish the book. It's actually about the transformation being complete. So I think that's the other thing with the pillars is it gives people a logical convincer of, I've reached this stage of the journey. I'm at this stage of the journey. And so they can feel progress.
Yeah.
And so that when they get to the end, then there's a level of satisfaction and happiness, because they're like, oh, wow, I went on that journey and now I'm at the end of that journey.
Hey, I want to pivot slightly, not so much, but slightly.
Yep.
What would you say to someone who is like in this situation where maybe they've been a facilitator or whatever, and they're really used to doing in person, and they're sitting like, yeah, but I can't do that with my thing?
Look, I just have to straight up disagree, because
even without knowing necessarily what their thing is. I'm just gonna close this door.
Look, I think perhaps there's difficulties if we're talking body work, where there's hands-on, but a lot of people in the space that are body workers also have other skills.
Yeah.
And have awareness of how to lead people in other ways. Like, there's so much can be achieved through the breath, through sound.
And I think, there's a piece that I think about a lot, which is that people confuse the channel with the transmission.
Yeah. I heard you speak about this the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm a massage therapist. And it's like, no, but you help people land their soul in their body.
Mm-hmm.
Or you are actually understand trauma. Mm-hmm. Or so the message and the transmission is like the essence of who you are, and it's typically is wrapped in your life. Like, you've lived your life and you look over a 10-year section or a 20-year section, and it's like, oh, it seems like my whole life has been about this and this and this. And the way I currently do that is I coach, or I write books, or I do sexuality retreats or whatever. And it's like, I think it's, again, we're very locked in the material. So we're very visual, and we're very locked in matter. So we think what the thing looks like is what it is. So it's like, yeah, but I'm a coach. It's like, you're not a coach. You are an awakening expert.
Yeah.
And that could be delivered through recorded meditations. It could be a video series. It could be rituals in a park. It could be, it could be a fucking clothing line, That is your other gift that you never knew how to bring in. But the way you make that is about awakening the soul or awakening the creative gifts or whatever. And I think people are very, and it's, if we look at the chakra system, it's like we're very stuck in the root and the sacral chakra. This is the physical reality. These are the emotions. And I mean, it's where I live. And especially when we've got, a global threat, people are fucking dying, but it is really interesting. No one that I know so far is dying in the scenes that I'm in so much, but the fear of that is rampant. And so the fear of that is creating a response of people behaving as though it is all around them and it is happening to them, when it's like, this might not, like in context, right? Still following not deliberately pretending it's not real. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about within, like, well, I stay home, I wash my hands, I'm not having secret parties or anything. I'm operating in a way that we have, as a collective, agreed is the best way to minimize this thing. Now that's out of the way. That's my survival, security, safety strategy. Can I operate from creator mode? And what I'm seeing is people are not, a lot of people aren't doing that. They're in a fear response, like everything's going to be taken away. And then rather than that driving them to adaptation, it's driving them into like contraction and reaching for what they know, even if what they know is not going to fucking work,
Yeah, I think that's a super valid point, because one of the things that we, so one of the reasons why the in-person book retreat works is because we take care of the physical environment for people. It is the locations we choose are custom built for creativity and productivity. We take care of the menu. There is beautiful, organic, nutritious food, all the basics, like the fundamentals of a human base chakra existence, we take care of on the retreat. In the in-person thing, we like the messaging over and over and over. People, prepare your meals. Make sure there's sweet potato in your meals. Have you gone for a walk today? Have you done your stretching? Like, and so important at this time, man, because if you're not taking care of those fundamentals, it would be very hard to be creative.
Yeah, it's a big piece. I think that's some really good value on the individuals taking their business online. I think we've kind of nailed that. I'd love to blow out a little more speculative and creative and bigger picture with you.
Yeah, cool. Love it.
What do you think what innovations and changes are you, in your imagination, is going to come in over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, do you think?
On a more macro level, like globally?
What do you think is going to happen in the world? And sure, also in the scenes we're in and all that, but how does an individual deal with it? Like, what do you think is going to happen, bigger picture?
So my opinion, I'll just pre-frame my opinion by saying that my opinion is formed from a couple of sources. One is looking at what world leaders are currently saying right now about trends and things like that. And secondly, also from actually tracking the astrology.
Interesting.
Which I've been following. I've been learning it the last 3 years, really heavily the last 12 months. And thank fuck I did, because I think that's why we're like ahead of the curve, because I knew shit was happening in April last year, right? So I knew there was a big breakdown of structures happening, and that's why I knew I needed to act. So what do I think is coming on a macro level? I think that structures are definitely going into a technological, community, humanitarian group kind of based place. So practically, how will that play out? Facebook groups is going to be the place to be for the next 2 to 3 years. And Facebook themselves are saying that. The like how you said about transmitting consciousness in a different vehicle.
Yeah.
That is absolutely going to happen, because my sense is that these restrictions, they'll be lifted at some point. Different states, different countries at different times. My sense is it's going to be a fairly messy for the rest of the year. Put it this way: we're not scheduling in-person book retreats for 2020.
No.
Even for existing clients who want that experience, we're not doing it. It's, we can't. Stradbroke Island, for one, is locked down. We can't guarantee that we could get on the island. Even if we did, we couldn't guarantee we could get you off it without jumping on a pirate ship, which is a possibility. But so I think definitely moving into the technological age, groups, and I'm also seeing that what will do well is businesses that have taken that kind of level 5 spiral dynamics into level 6, like the entrepreneurship into the humanitarian.
Yeah.
That's what's going on in my head right now, is how can we put 5% of every book sold into charities that are close to my heart, close to our business's heart, close to our, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the people that have their physical base chakra realities handled will be able to take advantage of that. And if you don't have it handled, I actually foresee quite a lot of misery and suffering as the fear just loops. And I think it'll be a bit of a shit show. So fundamental, and I know I say this all the time, man, I always say the same thing. Body weight squats, eat your sweet potato. Do those, you're going to look after your base chakra. Your life will be so much better,
Yeah, killer.
Yeah, I'd be curious on your perspective on that, or even your reflection on what I'd shared, because I feel like you got a really good view of the world and the pulse too.
I think we're in a similar place, like I'm surrounded by people who are quite on the esoteric astrology, so some of the deeper archetypal readings of astrology and stuff. And so we did a Pluto and Saturn temple on New Year's, which is about the death of the structures and the death of the old and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm less consciously switched on it, but like Mia's all over it, and a few other people I know are pretty on. So it's in my field, and also working with the mystery school stuff. So Haydn and Ister and all those kind of guys. There's this narrative of moving into the Aquarian era, which then we could debate about what that means. I might have a different interpretation than a lot of the more new agey guys. But for me, I think this is a year that the world goes online. That's the most obvious thing to me in a practical sense, is like the world will go online this year. And if people are like, oh, we already are, it's like, no, we've kind of like one foot in. I mean that we go online as a planet, and that this is the repository of our mental, emotional, financial storehouse. It's our information storehouse.
Yeah.
I think that's inevitable, and I think things that have been on the cusp. And I'm not a super tech guy, but I am interested in global trends. I think things like driverless cars and VR and that sort of stuff will jump forwards a bit.
Yeah.
Whereas like, 2023, it's going to be like, no, it's going to be fucking, I would imagine, without knowing much about the actual details of the tech, I think those things are going to come forward because the focus is going to go there, because it's like, well, we can't go anywhere. Many people in many places cannot go anywhere. So if I was a kind of gaming company that was already a little bit into VR, it's like, guys, double down on this shit. We're going to be the first out of the box with really good, VR sex games or VR fucking fighting games or whatever, because people are going to be staying home. Like me and Tyron, aka Shameless Sex God, went to Harvey Norman last week. So we bought projectors and a few different things for the house, and we're chatting to the young guy working there. And Tyron's like, how's sales? And he's like, oh, fucking crazy. And I'm like, oh, what? It's like, yeah, people are coming in here and buying like $5,000 gaming computers, because they're planning, they're going to be at home a lot. So if you're already a gaming nerd, you're like, I'm going to get my fucking hours. I don't know what they're playing right now, but it's like Fortnite or World of Warcraft or whatever. I'm probably 10 years out of date, but it's like, I'm going to be fucking leveling up at that shit this year. And, so I think things like, I'm like buying shares in Zoom and shit. Not millions of dollars, just because, okay, Zoom was something that's useful for your business before. Now it's like, what's fucking imperative.
Essential.
It's so essential. Whereas before it was very useful, but now it's like, well, we've got our head office in the city. We need everyone to stay the fuck home, but we still need work to get done. That's going to happen. So, and whether people are pro tech or anti tech or what I want to get across is it doesn't matter. It's good to understand where a lot of things are going. Because if you're an embodiment person, that's good for you too, because what you do goes up in value. Because people are going to be fucking digitally hungover from Netflix binging and Zoom calling and whatever. Anything that goes over will go back the other way. So what I see is that's going to be an acceleration of collective consciousness on all the levels. You know, I think we're going to mature how we use social media. Like, you know, I made this group you're in, and I think I'm a little ahead of the curve. Like, you know, probably like 17, 18 days ago, I created this group, right? A week later, I'm getting people trying to add me to fucking 5,000 different groups on all this shit that I'm not interested in. They haven't taken the time to find out about me. They're not doing it how I did it, which is, hey, look at this cool thing. If you join it, you can hang out with us. They're just trying to fucking invite me. And I know it's an automatic function. I have people trying to educate me. No, James. But what it shows me is people don't really understand online etiquette. They don't really understand the idea of creating value for people first. So what I see is people that are already online and established are going to become leaders.
Yeah, because they've got the foundational skill set, right?
Because it looks fucking easy, but it isn't.
There's so many pieces to it.
And it's like, you know, I was selling T-shirts on MySpace in 2004. So there's a sort of which was not millions of dollars, but, you know, we sold a few thousand T-shirts. Which is like, wow, it's crazy. But there's been a dialoguing with these platforms for a long time, and then coming over to Facebook and not understanding it, and then understanding it, and then trying to conquer Insta and being like, I didn't fucking get this at all. I know how to blog on Facebook, and gradually adapting to that, and then building more of a holistic strategy. And I think what I'm seeing is, you know, I've been quoting this, and I might be getting this wrong, but, you know, in the Bible, there is a phrase, to those who have, more shall be given. To those who don't, more shall be taken away. And it's often quoted in response to wealth or whatever. What I'm seeing is that's almost like a quantum physics, manifestation, law of attraction type axiom. And this is moving from a global prediction of tech to more like a consciousness. It's like what you have right now. Yeah, it's so interesting. Before this happened, I went through this phase. I cleaned up my room, set up an office where I'm now with a standing desk, planners on the wall, whiteboard, dusted off my studio tech. It's like I was prepping for this, and I was not, you know, but I went through all my stuff and got rid of the clothes I didn't like. I bought some new kind of expensive clothes that really creatively suit me, got rid of anything I didn't like. And I also did a very DeMartinius thing, which was add up the resale value of everything I own, from every fucking table to smoothie maker to 5 years old computer. Just as of like, I'm taking stock of what are the assets, what are the liabilities, we're getting rid of them. And I think I'm going to get a lot richer this year.
Yeah.
And I think it's not because of what I'm doing right now. It's because in 2018, I was like, you know, we're spending too much in the businesses. We got to trim. I want to become profitable. I'm spending too much time doing this and that. I don't want to live like that. I want to do this in 5 to 10 hours a week, not 50 hours a week. Yeah. And I didn't know why I was doing it. And I'm not trying to make it some big, I was so in tune thing, but just for whatever reason, I started putting my house in order in many areas about 2 years ago. And now I'm like, fuck, that's really good. And, you know, I understand if that's not your situation, that's not helpful for you to hear maybe, but it's like, this isn't going to be the first big disruption, last one. We're going to have more crazy events.
Yeah.
We're going to go into a time, I think, of more disruption and chaos. And so those people that are anti-fragile, those people that are positioned to evolve when things get disrupted are going to do very well. You know, it's like in the Depression or whatever, that's when X amount of millionaires were made. And I know that's not all that matters. I know there's fucking hectic shit going down. So I want to, because I'm seeing this kind of polarity between people that are kind of opportunity focused, people that are like really in empathy of the pain that is in the world right now. And I feel like that can all go together.
Yes.
But what I see is when the shit hits the fan, when you have your systems, and this can be your value system, this can be your self-care, this can be your money, any of that, when that's in order and it's been nourished, you're in a really good position to evolve quickly.
Yep.
And when there's an area that's out of whack, it gets really penalized worse. So everything gets amplified, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just think we're going to see significant redistribution of wealth. I mean, we're fucking seeing that already, you know, X many jobs gone. I'm watching, okay, so I think I'm getting much more interested in markets than I ever was. I used to not shit, and now I'm like, okay, so, you know, the company that owns Coles, I think, is buying out like Qantas or whatever. I'm like, okay, so that's a large scale, you know, the people that sell the fucking food you eat, they're not going to get in any trouble. We still need that. The people that are selling you flights all over the world, whose business model is like running on, you know, they make a few dollars off this flying these giant planes around that are fuel heavy and need thousands of people. I'm like, how is that fragile model? No one was looking at that going, dude, this is a terrible one.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, and then we've got ecosystem stuff going on. So what I'm predicting is crazy fucking changes that I don't even know what they are, but in every fucking major system, from economics to fucking ecosystems to social systems to, you know, governments. I think so many flow-on effects are going to happen. And there's this Eckhart Tolle quote that I always think about, which is about the unfolding of consciousness. And he says, you know, it's going to get better and worse at the same time.
Yeah.
And I see that depending on your management of your vibrational reality, is going to determine whether you're kind of breaking off into like create a paradise, or whether you're moving into totalitarian fucking dysfunctional fucking Mad Max 5. I think what seed you're holding, what vibration you're deliberately cultivating is going to have a lot to do with that in the next sort of 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I mean, just look where the hot spots are. New York City, financial center of the world. Italy, probably one of the religious centers of the world.
Interesting, yeah.
Right?
Authority structures, hey?
Authority structures. So these are being transformed, and then I can't help but always bring it back to self and the need for sovereignty and the need to be just really good on the foundations of life.
Yeah.
Food, sleep, water, the fundamentals as the building block to rebuild yourself. Because that's in the astrology, 12th of January, 2020, Saturn meets Pluto in the sky. It happens once every 32, 35 years. So this is a big cycle, right? Saturn structures, Pluto, death and rebirth of big structures that have been around for at least 35 years. And that happened on the 12th of January.
Yeah.
So that's the period we're in. And then there's a whole heap of stuff in the astrology that's hectic happening this year. Big 13-year cycles, 20-year cycles that are starting afresh. Pluto is involved in lots of them, so lots of death and rebirth. And again, one other thing I want to mention, Dane, is on that technology front. One book that has really helped me to understand where technology is going is this one here, What Technology Wants by Kevin Kelly. This guy's studied technology since the beginning of time. He wrote this in 2012. I bought it then. But for me, this has been really informative about getting some ideas about how technology may evolve in the future. So it was on my desk. I just wanted to mention it.
I'll have a look at it
for people.
Bro, I feel that's a beautiful transmission. I think we're at a good length. You know, it's about 4 o'clock. We've done about an hour. Any parting thoughts? Happy to wrap this up.
I just want to share finally might sound corny, but a message of hope for people. You know that humans are resilient. We have a resilient spirit, and that if your shit is breaking down right now, that's totally okay. And through the ashes, there will be something new. And always keep focused on that, because what's happening now isn't going to happen forever. Might be different versions of it, but this is not the only moment. So, keep faith in yourself, keep your foundations good, and keep your vision set on the future that you want, keeping in mind the trends that are happening. And if you're aware of that, I think that's, at a simplistic level, that's kind of what I'm focusing on to keep myself sane and happy and
doing love it. And if people are vibing you, whether that's you personally or the book writers or whatever, what's the easiest touch point to follow you, website, whatever? What's your...
Yep, cool. So really welcome people to friend me on Facebook, on my personal account, and message me. Our Facebook page is Inspirational Book Writers. We might tag it in the comments of this post or something. And our website is inspirationalbookwriters.com. So we'll be releasing some dates pretty soon on upcoming events. I think our next one will be June for the online intensive. So yeah, if you're vibing and you've got a book to write, we'd love to support you on that.
Love it. Awesome, man. Really appreciate it. I had fun, and I think people will get lots out of this.
Awesome, man. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks so much. Great to connect.
Super.
Cheers, mate.